Welcome to Fireteam Chat, IGN's Destiny show. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget, you can watch first on IGN.com and then one day later at 5 p.m. on Saturday over at youtube.com/Fireteam Chat. Joining us on the show today is Sean Finnegan.
Chomp chomp.
CJ Gibson.
What's up?
Fran Mirabella.
Hey, Guardians.
And we have brought on an extra special guest, Andrea Rene.
What's good?
We've been talking about having you on the show for a long time. I'm so happy our schedules aligned and we finally got you in the studio to argue about the raid.
I know, me too. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I know I've been talking to all of you about this independently, and so I'm glad the stars aligned.
Made it happen.
Yes, indeed.
So if you're watching the video, you might notice that there's 5 of us here today, or listening, and you can just do simple math. CJ is going to take it away from here. We're going to do a little bit of a special format. We're going to do a debate show.
That's right.
We're going to talk about the various things going on with Destiny 2 right now, which is, before we get into it, Forsaken's pretty good, right?
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yes.
We need to catch
Like,
that. We are all
yeah.
enjoying it a fair
Yeah.
amount. I will say, last episode, Fran needed an ally. So,
Yeah.
I'm here for you, Fran.
Yes,
she's
thank
here.
you.
So
We
so
brought
that-
in a friend.
Yeah, hence the the separation of the people. But it was an interesting episode. It was one of our most commented episodes of Fireteam Chat,
Awesome.
actually, of all time.
Thank you for interacting and being totally civil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not so much, but for the most part, it's pretty good. Yeah, so we'll get to some of those comments after, but I mean, we'll get right into it.
All right.
The very first one was the main thesis of last week's episode. Is the raid 2 exclusive? Why or why not? Now, we'll do a quick speed run here where we'll give everybody about 60 seconds to tell us what their opinion is. Sean, we'll start with you. Go.
I think my position's pretty clear on this. I don't think the raid needs to be easier. I don't think Bungie needs to tailor it so that more people can get into it. I don't think that players deserve to get into it. I think that if you want to be one of the people who is competing for World First and is considered part of that exclusive club and is ready on day one, you have to be ready to accept the fact that it's going to take a ton of work, a lot of time, a lot of planning, and some luck. And I don't know that anyone is owed that just because they feel like they want to feel included.
All right, very good. So, Andrea, 60 seconds, your rebuttal to that.
I'm of the mindset that if you pay for a piece of content, you should be allowed to play that piece of content. You shouldn't be subject to gatekeeping because of your personal or time commitments. A lot of people already had issues with the price point of Forsaken and Destiny's history and not providing enough content for the price of their expansions. That being said, I never made the argument that if you didn't put in the time that you should be world's first. Of course not. The best of the best deserve to be world's first. But here I am 3 weeks in, and I can't even make it through the first encounter. Now, that being said, we're going to go into more details about why I think that is, and I don't think it's just because I'm not high enough light level. So
There you go. Well, Destin, you did amazing. You didn't cut to the wide shot, but Destin almost jumped out of his seat, but didn't interrupt you. So that was great. Destin, 60-second rebuttal. Do you agree or disagree with Andrew?
Is it too exclusive? The only word I have a problem with there is too. Is it exclusive? Yes, and I prefer that because it keeps the raid special. It keeps it a challenging thing to strive towards. Everybody had that opportunity to grind for 70 hours. I totally understand if you have personal obligations and didn't want to do that. That makes sense to me. However, the people who did do that, great, they did it because they wanted to compete. If you want to run a marathon, you train for the marathon and then you run it. You don't just get to run the marathon. You will not finish within the time limit most marathons
that's a terrible analogy.
Where's the mic? Where's the mic? We just need to drop it for you. That's the end of your point there. Fran, you were on the show last week. And again, I read many of the comments. I'm going to go through some of them later on. I mean, what I do know about you is you're pretty good at articulating yourself. Did you feel attacked, or even in this scenario, how do you feel responding to Sean and Finnegan, or Destin and Finnegan?
Yeah, the truth is, it's like now a moot point, so I'm over it. I'm focused on other things. But
doesn't beat the
since
raid.
it's a topic of the show, I'm going to break it down again for you. And it is about
recap.
power per hour, okay? The PPH. Let's break it down. It's pretty simple. You've got power engrams on the map, and they exist. They're an icon. You chase them. I chased all of them for the 10 days leading up to the raid. I actually got the offering glitch, so I got screwed on that. So the point is, I invested time. My power per hour was decided by Bungie in a way, right? They have the math behind the scenes. I assume that they knew there was a chance I'm not going to be the recommended light level. So I spent 50 hours, and the game led me to believe for quite some time. That's where I was coming from, that I thought I was even on track. And that was the two sides of it. One, maybe 50 hours is too much already, right? That's a different discussion. But I did invest the time, and I also felt a little misled by what was on the map because all I could have done that I saw is grind in time that I didn't have, and I felt left behind in that experience.
There you go. I mean, so now just listening to what you guys are saying, it feels like you guys are saying, I've heard a combination of the content should not maybe be so exclusive because everybody paid for it, but you guys are saying it's a race. You can still access the
I
content.
didn't respond to
week
that.
two.
I just wanted to answer the original
Combination.
question of whether it's too exclusive.
I also have a lot more to say than I've said,
everybody,
yeah.
everybody should just get into the raid. No,
Right.
that's not a
not
good
what-
design decision.
Yeah.
That's not what
Yeah.
people are saying.
But this
That's what
is-
she said.
No.
You
I'm not.
paid for
I'm not
content.
talking about like you open up Forsaken, you load it up day one. It's the first thing you go do. That's
It's just a jumping puzzle now.
It's allowed
but
to.
you can't die if you fall
No,
in the
it's
pit.
allowed to be end game content, of course. But I think where we're differing here is the time commitment you think end game content should be, and the time commitment I think end game content should be.
See, that is actually the heart of the argument. Is like I don't have a problem like skewing that towards the most hardcore players, but this is something that's known
people
about
with
me.
the most amount of time.
It's not
Does that
just
make you hardcore? I'm curious.
It's
The
not
amount of
time,
you have in your life.
So that was
that's something that was a little conflated
Yes.
with something I said last week. It's just like I think as a general rule, it's not a statement about how much time you put in the game, but people who put in thousands and thousands of hours, they can still be bad at Destiny. This is a fact.
It's true. Yeah.
But generally, I would
Look at
say
me.
that most players who spend a lot of time getting in there over that time get better and better at the game, right? So it's not like
Practice, yeah.
it's a causation. It's not a causation thing. It's a correlation thing. But all I'm saying is that I come from that mindset where I like games that have a high skill ceiling and a very steep learning curve. I come from Counter-Strike. I come from StarCraft. So in my mind, when developers who are the ones in control of setting the difficulty level or figuring out how many or percentage of what players should be allowed into X activity, we have to be okay. I am okay with them deciding that it's only 1% or 2%. Now, if you disagree, that's fine. That's your opinion. But I like to think that if you put in the time and the work, you can go into that activity knowing that you're the top 1% of the people who were able to put in the effort.
But you got to choose if you're talking about time or skill. That's still my problem with the way that people describe it.
So
I
there
mean,
was a
in an
bunch of
RPG, they're
Well,
kind of
there's
conflated.
another thing. Well, for
Anybody
me-
could have done it. Okay, I'm not saying you could be as smart as the teams that beat it, but I've played enough Destiny, and that was the point.
Right.
It was about time, not skill in what you're talking about.
So you could have done day one. You ran out
Raid
of time.
is hard. It should be hard.
So hang on, I'm gonna interrupt. So Clan Redeem did win.
Yeah.
Now, they
Oh,
won
yeah.
a bunch of raids previous to that.
Yeah.
So the question that's going around is based on what you're saying is, did the best team win the raid? And based on what you're
I'm not
saying,
questioning that.
No, but that's what I mean.
Saying it
There's
would
some
have had
people
more
that are saying
competition,
that.
maybe, but
100%.
And to me,
that's
it was never about the competition of being world's
Yeah.
first. It was just about being able to experience
play
it.
it, yeah.
And I have a lot of members of the What's Good Guardians clan who went into the raid and couldn't make it past the first encounter, even though they were all around the same light level. You know, you're like 540s to 550s,
Why
et cetera.
is that bad?
It's not necessarily bad, but the point is that I think my frustration in the way that Bungie gatekeeps some of the more difficult content feels a little artificial. It feels like they're just making the enemies soak more damage, and then my guns aren't doing enough damage combined. And so it makes it this artificial difficulty, not to mention raids. The best part of the raids is the cool execution of the puzzles. And the reason I bring this up is because over the weekend, we brought 3 new Guardians into the Leviathan raid. And so I was like 518 at the time, and 2 of my clanmates were in the 540s, and then the other 3 were like low 500s. And so they had just never done Leviathan. And we're like, let's just do it. Let's run it for fun, because I needed to get the seals for one of my exotic quests, and we wanted to get the clan engram. And so we did it, and it took us over 7 hours to do the Leviathan raid, when normally when I run the raid with my clan group that runs it, we can do it in like 90 minutes, no problem.
Right.
But because of the scaling of the enemies, combined with the execution, it took us this crazy amount of time, and I was just like beside myself. I was like, this shouldn't be this hard. Like, I've done this raid so many times now.
Well, to me, that sounds like team-based execution.
Well,
It
no, but
doesn't sound like a power
that leads me
ceiling
to my
issue.
point, right? Is that
Yeah.
the best part of the raid and the most difficult part of raids in Destiny have always been execution of the puzzle elements of each of the encounters. It's not just like how much DPS can we do in the final boss wave of the encounter, right? That's why people love an instance like Gauntlet in the Leviathan raid, because it requires a lot of teamwork. And
People
it's
love
like
Gauntlet.
everyone in
hate the
my
Gauntlet.
clan loves Gauntlet.
So it's really weird.
You don't even shoot anything.
I think people
That's not
yes,
in Gauntlet.
There's no boss.
shoot red bars.
There's shoot like enemies that appear for a little bit, but there's
And
I know what
one
you're saying.
orange.
The activity is to run
shoot
to do a
indicators
raid
on
the
in
wall.
a way.
But the point was simple. We all
No,
know
I get the
Destiny
point, yeah.
gatekeeps with your light level.
Yes. The
point
which
is-
you can control. That's actually, I think, an interesting point. With maybe it's for later.
Yeah.
But I still would argue they could have still could have gatekeeped. You know, let's say they let me be 550, right, with the drops.
Yeah.
You could still gatekeep like they wanted to in the raid and actually keep you from being 580. They actually could have soft capped that to keep you guys from getting too high.
That's
Let
what they
me
did, and
closer.
you're mad about it.
No, but they didn't. They allowed people to get up to 560 or whatever, but most people were crushed down below 530.
It seems like they didn't want to allow that. It
Well,
was
that's the
my
thing.
point,
Like,
though.
The
I
RNG.
think people make it sound like in the comments, like maybe I'm making it sound like it was such a cakewalk and so easy. No.
Yeah.
Like it was incredibly
I don't
difficult.
think anybody's
We had to like
accusing you of
write
that.
down strategies about when to pop which engrams, and we had to like
Yeah.
plan our time to play together. And we were passing off tips in the chat. We talked about min-maxing our armor and masterworking the gear, and that's what it took to compete in that first week.
So that-
and I think that's okay.
Yeah.
But if you don't want to deal with that, which I totally get, and I
Yeah,
don't
maybe
know
you
if
just
I'll
wanna
ever
play.
do it again. Yeah, play week 2.
But
if you don't
that's all I
want to do
want.
the hard
no,
work for
I'm
the
with you.
competition,
I'm
So
with you.
that's
It doesn't
it.
have to be. It doesn't have to be week 1.
Right.
But even
Yeah.
week 2, it's still just as hard. Week 3, it's still just as hard, and it should be because it's the raid.
Yes.
Of course, no one's saying the raid's supposed to be easy, but my issue was that there are so few ways to ensure, because so much of the game is RNG based, that you're
Yes.
going to get to the level you need to make your guns high enough. Like I had to be carried through Blindwell because I physically couldn't hurt the enemies because I was so low light level that every time I shot them, they would be immune.
But I mean, like,
You know what I
you got to
mean?
put in the
It's
time
that
to,
kind of-
to acquire the light level, right?
But now we're back to this issue
Yes.
of did I have enough time to do the dailies for
It's-
the powerful gear every day and make sure I do every single weekly.
and you
Right, but-
didn't, so
You know
you
what I
do
mean?
it week 3, right?
But this all
Like,
still just sounds to me like I want to play in the NBA, but I don't want to put 20 years
So
in the basketball
that-
gym.
that
Like,
That's definitely not what I'm saying at all.
Yeah,
But
but that's a weird
you
thing.
say
so I
you
will
don't
say
have the
this.
time.
Hang on.
I don't get it.
I will say this. That's what a lot of people are saying. It's like 50 hours of your time playing basketball does not equate to 50 hours of Michael Jordan's time. Like there is something to be
That's
said.
not. That's about skill, so it's not.
But you're right.
Those
but
are bad
but
analogies,
skill,
actually.
no, but
Right.
skill does play into it, and there's also
course.
RNG, and
I
so
have skill.
there's two
Find it.
factors into it, right? But then there's also the life game. There's also real life into it, and basically
and I'm
that.
definitely winning at that.
I
That's
think
it,
the
right?
problem, what it really boils down to is that if Destin puts in 100 hours and I put in 100 hours, we should hypothetically be really close in our gear level,
And
right?
Okay.
it would be.
And-
If you were
Yeah,
on my raid
so
team,
I-
we would have been close.
I
But
would
that's
make
not necessarily the way it is, because what if I just, like you were talking last week, you were waiting for a chess piece
Yes.
to drop that wasn't
Yeah.
dropping. Like, what if you just get shut out?
so
You
not,
know?
I
Yeah,
would
a lot
say
of people
I would
did.
say that like I don't have these numbers and I could only guess, but like I think if you were to draw out all the statistics, if you put in 100 hours across all the players, if all the players who put in 100 hours, if you plotted out their progress, it'd land mostly in the same area. Now, Fran, your
Yeah, that's
case,
the point. It took
your-
100 hours
no,
in
no,
the
no,
first
no,
10
but your
days. We've been
or
over
50.
it.
No. I'm not saying 100 hours is the benchmark.
I know, but I'm saying
any
that
number
is exactly it.
Any number of hours, I think you could probably say if all the players who'd played 20 hours roughly landed at like 515, there'd be some on the lower end. It'd be a bell curve, right? In your case specifically, it sounds like you might have gotten screwed with a little bit.
A
with
lot
RNG.
of people did. That is the
But
point
I don't
that you
think
guys
it's-
are missing.
I think that's
It's
getting blown
both.
out of proportion.
Yeah.
I think
It's
a
a
lot
lot
of people see that they got screwed, and really they
Numbers don't lie, Sean. That's the point.
Okay.
They don't.
But it
No,
is
but
But
random.
you don't have
like,
the numbers.
fewer than
you have no
2,000 people.
numbers.
I do.
There was a
We talked about the
guaranteed
numbers
primary
who got
drop.
in
There were
when the raid
guaranteed
dropped.
I got
armor
them all.
drops every
Yeah.
week. So you just have to make
Okay.
sure you're planning appropriately
This-
on the drops that are
Time out.
guaranteed to give you the highest percentage chance to get the drop in the slot that you need.
So we have the precise number.
Fran, the last
So
word
we
here.
have the precise number. Fewer than 25,000 people globally were in the 530s and above, right? So that was the number. Fewer than 25,000 people. Think about that. And if 10% of those people tend to play the raid, now that doesn't mean that that's, but we know 10% of the audience sometimes plays the raid. Just think about that. You're talking about an activity for 2,500 people. So anyway, another example you could think about. PUBG just launched. There's 2 maps. The people who played 100 hours get into that second map. Okay, and you get in first week and get to do it, and it's a world's first race to the top teams. But sorry, it's only for people that can play 100 hours. That's the problem going on here.
That's
what I'm
not a
trying
great
to describe.
analogy either.
It absolutely is.
It's
It's
funny.
gated
Okay.
content.
But it is gated content,
Different
but
content
let's
type.
do this because we'll move on to the next topic in 2 seconds. To me, I think when we debate these things, often what we don't get a chance to do, because we usually have to move on time-wise, what is the solution? So, Andrea, real quick, we'll start with you. Like 60 seconds, what's the solution to this problem? What do you think they could do?
The best solution is to provide more content opportunities to earn powerful gear. Now, they've certainly improved it with Forsaken than where Destiny was in the previous 2 expansions, but it's still not enough because you still have to grind the same missions, the same strikes over and over again to hopefully get a shot at getting the drop that you want. And we were talking about this in relationship to MMOs because you guys and a lot of other people are comparing the raid in Destiny to raids in WoW and other MMOs, and MMOs have a vastly bigger pool of content to play that's not the raid, and Destiny does not. And so I think that would be a great place to start, is to say, hey, for people who don't have the luxury of being in a clan, who have trouble finding people in LFG, and who don't have people to run things with, let's provide more additional ways for them, both in PvE and PvP, for them to earn powerful gear.
And I feel like for the most part, like that's actually happening better now
It's
with
better,
the
for
launch
sure,
of Forsaken.
yes.
But okay, that's fair. Sean, what's your 60-second? What
60-second
they should-
solution?
Yeah, what should they do?
Well, first off, I don't think you have to fix something that isn't broken.
Guess that's done.
So the solution is to get good.
Oh, there it is.
No, okay. So in all
Comments, I
in all
mean-
seriousness, I think it's very clear where I stand on this. I don't know that we have to skew the balance one way or the other. I think it's
Gross.
fine the way it is. But I do like the idea of giving players more opportunities to get to the same end game reward, like whether that's PvE activities or PvP activities to get you powerful gear to get to the raid. The problem I see with potentially implementing a strategy like that is if a game like Destiny or WoW or any of the RPG games is about min-maxing, the players who are into maxing will find the most efficient way, and that same skew will exist no matter how you implement it. So if it somehow becomes more time effective or more time efficient to do strikes versus PvP, you can be sure that the high-end raiders are going to do that instead, and then you have the same problem over again.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what activities you implement.
So, summary, you think that for the most part, at least with Forsaken DLC, Bungie's doing a pretty good job at
Oh, absolutely.
catering
I
to
mean,
the
I've
people
said
who-
on I've said
in
on
various
previous I've said on previous episodes that one of the things I like about Forsaken is I am a pretty experienced Destiny player, and I kind of feel lost as to what to do and in what order to do
There's
it.
so many options.
There's so many options, and you don't exactly know in which order you should be doing them in order to maximize your efficiency.
But you're okay with that feeling, though.
But I'm okay with that. So I have completed the first encounter of the raid at this point, and I would imagine that I'm still, in terms of the bell curve, like above the average. Most
guys
people
did it blind
probably-
too, right?
We did it blind.
Yeah.
My team was 2 people above 540, the rest under 540. So I don't think that that's an unattainable level for anyone who would call themselves like more than a hobbyist player. And I don't mean hobbyist in terms of like a casual player.
Yeah.
I mean in terms of like
Destiny,
a hardcore
the way they say hobby.
yeah, so like I don't know that it needs to be fixed because I feel like we're in a pretty good spot in terms of how exclusive it is, because the first week needs to be for players who are the top 1%. I'm fine with that. Week 2, week 3, that can be 5 or 10 or 15.
the longest 60 seconds
Gotcha.
ever.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
gonna say,
But I
you
mean,
got-
I just don't think
moderator,
Yeah,
Buy
okay,
your
yeah.
job.
I'm gonna interrupt him next time. That was the first 60
I think it's
seconds.
fine.
CJ
That's all right.
clearly is catering to his
I
side here.
Hey,
apologize.
I gave you the opportunity
This
to cut me
is-
off
no,
after
I'm
the first
gonna-
2 sentences.
Okay,
right?
now
Get good.
Now I know. All right, that's your last one. So, Fran, 60 seconds. Yeah, what do you feel?
Yeah,
at
only
the-
60, huh?
No, roughly. I'll give you some wiggle room.
Starting now.
There you
I
go.
think there's a couple quick solutions, and you could combine them or do them individually. Number one, the offering glitch set people back, and we needed a solution for that. They had a couple of the power engram problems with the weeklies that they fixed. The offering glitch set a lot of people back where you didn't get this offering, that in the Dreaming City were big drops. I potentially lost 5, 10, I don't know. I lost a lot of power on that, and there was a bunch of people that suffered from that. So number one, that set the player base back, I believe. Number
Potentially.
2, power per hour. I don't have the same problem that Andrea had, which is an interesting perspective because I'm not on the same page as her with that. I don't necessarily disagree, but she's in a much different. But I had the 50 hours. I think she had a lot less probably, and is really feeling the burn of not being able to do everything. I was able to do everything. So again, power per hour. Average player base. Bungie just put a graph up in their TWAB, and I challenge you to put it up for the raid and the light levels that first week when it launched. Show me the curve because I'd love to see the data. I'm pretty confident that most of the player base was not able to, for the time they played, after, by the way, getting everything they could on the map. And the third thing is releasing the raid based on that at the right time, based on how it was going.
Right.
I would have pushed it back a week. And yes, there's some risks with that. I realize you don't want people to be too high, but small concept that could have been touched up maybe.
Because your main concern is that you didn't get a chance to experience it blind, and that's an important part of that experience.
That's exactly it. I mean, I'm struggling
did it 3
now
weeks later with
on
the
the
team blind.
backside. Like, I still may get there, but the point is, if I failed but did most of the raid, I would have felt like I was part of it. The next thing you know, there's a strike the next day, the story's changing, and now there's new stuff. I'm not part of that storyline still because I'm struggling to find the teams and the time now. I made the time based on the raid release date. I already made the time.
Yeah.
That's gone. I'm too busy now, so now I got to catch up, which I'm okay with now. Again, moot point. I'm fine with it. I love the game right now.
Yeah.
I'm over it. I'm pissed at how it was, but now I'm really enjoying the game. Tons of awesome stuff to do. I just want to catch up on the storyline, which is every week there's a new thing. Ugh,
Which is
and I'm-
awesome.
I love that, but I'm behind because it's
Sorry.
all based on Riven.
Definitely, yes. I got to be moderator guy. I'll have my seconds. So Sean stole your time, so you got 30 seconds.
All right, basically, I'm actually going to agree with Fran on 2 points. It has to be an even playing field. The offering glitch was a bummer, and the weekly power ingrams not dropping was a bummer. However, everybody had those problems, and the community addressed the offering glitch, so like make sure your inventory is clear. But that one needs to be fixed. I'll still say that one needs to be fixed. My team was affected by that. I have team members that work 50-hour-a-week jobs. 4 of them actually work at least 40 hours a week or are full-time students, so that includes class time and study time. I still went to my class, actually, for Java, and so that was 5 hours of my grinding time. I just didn't sleep that day. But it's a really, really high bar to pass. It is a little ridiculous, but it is
Team
an
no
even
sleep.
playing field for every player.
Right.
Every player has those same challenges. Our raid team came in at 535 to 545. That was our range going into the raid. We did not have any power level advantages. It was a struggle the whole way through, and we got it done. And if you don't want to deal with that, just do it a week later. And I encourage you to. The raid's a fantastic experience, and I look forward to seeing you guys having fun with it. I don't want people not to be able to do it ever.
Yeah.
But if you want to compete for the world's first,
Or even just be ready on day one. Because it's not really about worlds first. I don't think anyone.
Yeah, no, we're not arguing about worlds first.
Yes.
Yeah.
okay. Well, then, if you want to compete in that first week, yeah, man, you got to do a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's going to be really rough. Just wait till week 2 if you don't want to do that.
Or have a clan that basically kind of wants to agree with you and say, hey, let's figure it out and make sure we kind of do it together.
Getting clans
I still
together.
think
and
my
share points.
solution's the best one.
There you go.
You heard it, kids. Work hard. Don't sleep. It's your option.
Make sure you have friends.
You know, there's a few options. So I'll say this to wrap it up.
Oh,
Solution.
sorry, one more thing. Guided games should be addressed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's a good
100%.
point. Very good
Different
point.
topic, but that is the point.
Because they did try and address your concern, actually, and it's not working optimally. And Blindwell needs 9-player matchmaking.
There you go. Oh, there it is. Okay.
Well, I mean, at 6 at a minimum. If you can go into
Yeah.
6 with the raid,
Yeah.
you can't go 6 with Blindwell. I mean,
Seems
that's
odd.
just
Yeah.
stupid.
Ridiculous.
Very good. Okay, so I think I got my sort of summary is that this is why we divided it. We divided it, the kind, good people, and the elitists.
Whoa.
Oh, people.
Oh, I mean, I was reading the
good.
comments. I was reading the comments.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
Basically, I think that if they did a little something like Destiny 1, I understand and can appreciate that there's RNG in the game. When you went to your faction and leveled up your faction in Destiny 1, whatever your lowest item was, I would like it to be something like that, where, say, if you wanted a weapon or an armor or a class item, you could pick what the Prime Engram decodes as.
In that clutch. Yeah. It
Well,
really
because
changes the
It
range.
does.
I
But hang
don't
on,
know.
but
I think
think
you got
about
to
it.
think about it a little bit more than
Think about it. Like right now.
I did. It sounds terrible.
No, but here's the issue. If you give everybody their lowest light level gear, you're going to rank up too fast. So you can't do that. And people are saying that in the comments. Oh, I wish that they would assess the inventory and give me my lowest light level gear. You can't do that. Everybody be at 600 in a week. But if they gave you the option of 3 things, if you said, okay, well, my lowest light weapon was this,
Yeah.
my lowest armor was this, I think that's a
see-
compromise.
This
I can see.
No, but I
how-
think that's a compromise.
I can see how a system like that might be beneficial, but to Destin and even Fran's like reaction, I can see how you're dealing. It's a slippery slope, right? Like you don't want to. Part of what makes getting the exact right weapon at the right time.
Yeah.
It's that reaction.
RNG.
And part of that is striking the balance between
Exactly.
I've gone a long time without getting exactly what I want, so when I finally do get it,
Yeah.
it's really awesome.
No, you got to starve a little before you get a.
you gotta balance it. But I do see how a system like that could potentially work.
And just to talk about that point, actually, in the update this week, they talked about goals for exotic drop rates. Exotics are intended to be meaningful long-term chases. Finding an exotic should be rare and impactful. Problems with the current drop rates. Right now, we are falling short of the impactful part of our goal. There's nothing exciting or powerful about getting your 4th fighting lion when all you really want is a 2-tailed fox, which TJ got this weekend.
Oh.
Plans for addressing these problems. We
Lucky.
plan to increase the chance for exotics to drop something you don't already have. So maybe they
I've
just
only had one exotic drop in all of my time with Forsaken, and it was Hard Light.
Let's talk about
that was my first drop from the raid.
And I'm just like,
sucks.
I don't mind Hard Light as a gun, but like,
not as a
That
new
was actually my first
DLC.
one.
Yeah.
and I have not gotten a single exotic drop since.
So you don't have any new exotic drops from Forsaken.
Not a single one.
Fran's got like RNG. Up
No,
his
I
wazoo.
don't. I only
Yeah, you
have
do.
one exotic drop that's
What-
new.
and what was
the
it?
Oath Keepers, the hunter. You draw the bow faster.
Yeah, you also got the
There you go.
Malfeasance drop, so you don't.
Well,
get to
I
talk
did
about
get
exotic
that. I didn't
drops.
want to
He
bring anything
played
up.
3
This
games.
is your faith in RNG has now been rewarded. Like you went all that
I
time.
have no problem with RNG.
You went all that time getting screwed by RNG prepping for the raid, and they felt bad. RNG's
Yeah,
felt
yeah,
bad for
exactly.
you, and was like, "We're
I
going to
bet
give
they
you
did.
malfeasance."
Counterpoints, TJ. We plan to increase the chance for exotics to drop something you don't already have.
Yeah.
Just adjust the percentage point by like 0.01 or something, so that you have a higher chance to get a slot that you need.
What exotic do you have right now?
I got the Cerberus +1, and I
you go.
just got Wish
Oh,
Ender
I want
last
that
night.
so bad.
Shout out to the LFG. I ran into 2 guys. I was having problems with my game where it would crash. They would literally wipe on the final encounter to get Last Wish, and they stuck with me. I've
really
never
nice.
played
Wow.
with them before.
That's awesome.
Fantastic experience. I can't remember their name.
Oh,
and we'll never
terrible.
play.
John,
Yeah.
what weapon do you have in? Have you gotten a Forsaken exotic drop yet?
Yeah, and I actually got Hard Light as well.
Oh,
But that's not a Forsaken
that's not a
drop.
Forsaken
Oh
one.
You
no,
don't got
but
nothing
in
new yet.
Forsaken, no new,
Yeah.
no new, nothing,
No new.
anything.
Yeah, they're super rare right now.
Yeah, they're pretty rare.
It's
Oh, and
funny that I haven't.
I got a Sunfire Furnace.
Does make it
Also
special?
not
No,
new.
it needs to be like.
You mean a
A new one.
sunshot?
Yeah, like a
The-
No, not the
Forsaken
weapon,
exotic.
the chest piece. The
Oh, the
Titan
chest piece. Okay.
Yeah, okay. All right. So we got to move on. The next is one of those things that we just touched on briefly.
Oh, there's more debate? I'm
That's
excited.
right. Yeah, Fran, I'm going to come to you. We're going to go a little longer today. So there is a bunch of things evolving in the Dreaming City when you complete some of these things. Do you like that?
Oh.
Do you feel excluded if you haven't done the content? Or what do you feel like when you see those things and you are maybe not a part of completing them when they're opening up? So, Fran, we will start with you this time.
Good choice. I already touched on it. It goes back to, unfortunately, the raid in week 1. It triggered a bunch of next steps in what's happening in the city. And because I was not able to even encounter Riven or beat Riven yet, the next day, they pull up the strike, and congratulations to the world first team. I actually think the mechanic's cool, but what a world it would have been if, say, another few thousand players, 10,000, who knows, 20,000 players were part of that experience.
They probably did week 2.
And now, but that's the point. Things are triggering ahead of me being part of those. And so
Right.
some of it you just sort of get used to. Like I went and saw something that happened this week, and I see, I don't want to spoil things for people, and went and saw someone, and she's referencing something that happened in the raid. And I'm like, yeah, I guess so, and it's a major thing happening this week. So
Really?
So I feel behind. Yeah.
Okay.
Just it's the Mara stuff. Like,
So here's the thing. A lot of what we asked for, and just thinking about time on this show, was that the raids be a continuation of the storyline, especially when we were looking at Taken King, which is your favorite raid. Well, yes, it is awesome, but this is some of the side effect, I think, in doing that. The pace of which you complete it is not the same for everybody. So,
Which is why they shouldn't have released it when they did.
oh, okay. So let's go back real quick. Sean, what's your feeling on that? Do you like these exclusive opening ups? Because Sean is also somebody who hasn't actually completed the raid yet. So how is your feeling seeing all this content coming out?
No, I think it's awesome. I mean, I did always want the activities to be built into Destiny in a way that built the story. On many episodes have I said, like, one of the things I play games for is an impactful story and really compelling characters, and I think we're getting more and more of that. And I think that making the raid tied to the world that you exist in outside of the raid is an awesome thing. Like, I think that's awesome. Do I personally feel excluded from these things because I haven't completed the raid? Personally, no. But it also speaks to my situation specifically, which is like I never really feel excluded from that stuff because I'm okay at the very beginning knowing that I'm not going to be at the same pace or level as the people who are at the forefront, right? To me, that goes back to the philosophy I have, which is like if the game is tailored for the high skill or high time or high whatever players, the top 1%, I have to be okay with that, or I can choose to play a different game. So I don't feel
There you go. All right. So, but a perspective, but genuinely, like when you say that,
I have to be.
I believe it.
That.
Like, no, I think I
have
believe
to.
him
You don't
though
have to.
when he
No one
says
has
that.
to.
So Andrea, yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Andre's cut to the wide shot every now and then because the reactions, it's crazy. I'm seeing the reactions while they're talking. So Andrea gasped off camera. What's your reaction to that comment?
I mean, the idea that's gatekeeping at its finest. That's like saying, get good or you don't get to experience the content you paid for. I think that that's completely crazy. I obviously agree that the end game in Destiny needed to be addressed, and they did. And they took what was missing narratively previously and really vamped it up in a fantastic way. And the Dreaming City, I think, is everything a lot of Destiny players really wanted. And so I think that they should be commended for that. But on the other side of the coin, even as somebody who hasn't got to put as much time in, even though I just hit 530, when I was like 515, 520 in light level, I still felt like a lot of the content of the Dreaming City was unreachable for me. Unless I had my clan, who was in the 540s and above, kind of guide me through it all and then kind of carry me through some of the encounters, because playing solo, I was just dying left and right. So I was dying so much in just like the basic stuff in the Dreaming City that I left. As soon as it unlocked, when I finally did of course, true Bungie fashion, you had to do a grind to even unlock the key to the Dreaming City, which was another pain point that didn't need to be there. You could have just opened it up after you completed the campaign. When I finally got there, I had to immediately turn around and go grind in a different part of the universe because I wasn't high enough to compete with the enemies that were just roaming in the world. And there's nothing wrong with making sure that, your game progresses in difficulty. And a lot of RPGs will sometimes dump you into areas where you're not high enough level and you have to, go back down to the area you just left to kind of grind a little bit more and maybe do a couple extra quests. It just comes back to the idea that I mentioned in the raid discussion that that pool of content with what to do is still just not diverse enough that I would like it to be if Destiny is really going to lean into these RPG mechanics like we're seeing.
I might agree with you there, but like to take it outside of the context of Destiny, just real
Part of
quick.
Destiny's time.
Rebuttal. Like, do you feel like players or you specifically deserve to see quests or storylines and get that stuff wrapped up in a game like The Witcher, which is a 200-hour game? Like, if you don't want to put in the 200 hours, do you still think like it's unfair or it's gatekeeping to not be able to see the ending of a 200-hour story or have to play it again or do a new game plus? If it's time-based.
I think these are apples and oranges that you're talking about here. I think the thing that was the reason I say that is because when Destin and I were bantering on Twitter last week, I did not realize that the finishing of the raid triggered a difference in the Dreaming City because I had not yet got to the Dreaming City.
So you were spoiled by Destin's tweet.
Well, it's not even just the spoiling; it's that I didn't get to see the Dreaming City before the change, and a single player game doesn't do that, right? So, like, if I'm progressing in The Witcher. Part of the Witcher world doesn't change for me if you complete a quest ahead of me.
That's fair.
Sure.
No, that's fair.
It is
That's
apples and
she's
oranges.
got
I mean,
you there. She's got you there.
I mean,
I understand what
just
you're
don't
saying,
think
by
that's
the way.
really
It's
related.
earning it, but it is apples and oranges.
So
Like,
This
when
is
you get
real
to the
world stuff.
final boss in The Witcher, it's going to look the same as when I get to the final boss in The Witcher.
Right,
Point
but
Andrea
we still,
Fran.
but we both,
No,
but we
point.
both have to put in the same amount
No,
of time,
no
right?
point. That's
Right.
going to loop every 3 weeks. And if she chooses to go to Japan for a gig, which was an awesome gig, I would have done it too, instead of grinding out Destiny.
Part of
Oh, you mean if
Destin's
I
time.
choose to work?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
this is it. So
Yeah,
this
like if I had job obligations or if I had to go
Which
to the
you did.
hospital or something, I'm going to do that instead of playing Destiny. Like,
Well,
yeah,
Destin-
you.
So
Okay.
let's.
This
Yeah.
is
This
his
so
time.
this is interesting.
But the
This is-
idea that she doesn't get to experience that is untrue because it's
No.
looping next week.
No,
and
but
it's
what-
going to loop every 3 weeks.
Yeah, but what she's saying is like it's beyond her control if there are other people out there experiencing it much faster that progress and open essential story plot things.
Yeah,
Now-
I mean,
now
some
here's the
things
thing,
are not under our
read social
control.
media.
I'm not tall enough to be in the NBA.
Yeah,
Like,
no,
it's
but
just-
like these are things that for real we discuss. Don't read social media. What do you do for a living, Andrea?
I work on camera for a digital media company that runs several social media channels.
Block terms that you don't
I
want to be
mean-
spoiled
no,
about.
no,
let's not get into that.
People have to do that all the
spoilers,
time.
It was never about like going into the raid blind or not
Yeah.
seeing it. I watched Dado's team for several hours
Yeah,
when they
so
were
did I.
running
It was
through.
cool.
Yeah.
You know, like when because I enjoy
Fran's
watching.
really about spoilers.
I enjoy watching other people play in that regard.
Yeah.
For me, it's just like the way that they're unlocking the content it just feels like I don't get to experience it in the time with which I have.
It's an
And
aggressive
that's-
See,
pace.
and I get
And,
that. I get
that's,
that.
and that's frustrating.
So,
I can totally get.
So I'm gonna let Destin talk. I have a couple things I want to say, but how do you respond to that, or what's your take on these things evolving in the Dreaming City and in Forsaken?
I love it. It's absolutely fantastic. I don't feel left out at all. Like every day, like people are getting the wish ender bow, right? It took me 4 days to even get a chance to get to that because I have work responsibilities, and I'm okay with that because that's a me problem.
Yeah.
I have real life responsibilities and things I have to deal with, and I don't blame Bungie or blame Destiny because I've chosen to look for an apartment or go on a date with my girlfriend. That's not their fault. That is me, and I'm mature enough to say, oh, I made that decision. So I'll just wait to experience the Wish Ender Bow quest.
It's so black and white. But
But it's weird. So,
But that's
I mean,
what
it's
it
true,
feels like
right?
to me.
It's
It's
true.
like
Doesn't
Bungie
have
needs
to.
to make these changes
But the-
because I made the decision to do something with my personal life. It doesn't make any sense to me.
people in the FTC
I think we're maybe
comment
arguing
section-
about different things.
It is. It's
Okay.
a little bit different things, but it does depend, I think, on how you approach it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where it's like, again, we had 900 comments, over 900 comments. It was very divisive. It wasn't like we expected actually people.
I
from
thought
our-
everybody was going to say, "Stop whining."
Yeah,
Frank.
we
You're
thought.
being a baby."
Yeah, there were a couple
Whatever.
of those. There were a
Well,
couple.
of course, yeah.
But
I
will
did not
say-
expect elitist.
Yeah, so Destin got the elitist.
Oh,
Sean
you
a
didn't
little bit
expect
too.
that?
I mean, you should.
I mean, you should have expected that.
because
Any other
I literally
if
played
Steven
that
Rue
role.
would have competed for Fortnite and gotten first place or hell even top 50, people
Yeah,
would have
it's
been
his
like,
job.
"That's awesome, dude."
So here's the thing.
I do it for the raid, and everyone's like, "You're an elitist piece of
or
garbage."
they
And
feel
I'm
like-
like, "Are you kidding?"
Hang on,
Wait.
hang on.
Like,
I will
yeah.
say this: the
black and white
elitist,
again,
the elitist comment sometimes it's
Yeah.
not about what you say; it's about how you say it.
So
and
true.
and the way that you said it sounded dismissive in that you're like, I don't
Look
care.
at my tweets. Go look at my tweets. I'm like, I'm super encouraged.
You don't have to defend
I'm
yourself.
Like,
You don't have to
it's-
defend yourself. You're right. You're right to
It's
do that.
crazy. It's crazy.
Don't go look at his
I'm
tweets.
like,
It'll
hey,
just prove
this
our
was a
point.
big grind. This affected
Yeah.
me. My sleep schedules.
It was.
crazy, guys. If you're gonna do it week 2, it's awesome.
But that is kind
Nobody
of
wants to take that
you
away
can
from
do it. Go
You're
for
awesome,
it.
dude. I mean, I can't believe you pulled
But
it
this
off.
is the thing.
Me, I'm just trying to illustrate
No,
that's
no.
what people are feeling when you
That's
say
what
it.
people feel.
They don't want to take that away from you.
Yeah.
It's that they also want you to recognize that
The
they
other
weren't
side
able
of it.
to stay up till 5. They had a baby or whatever it was.
That's fine.
It's asking
Why is
a
that
lot.
bad?
All you have to say is, it's asking a lot of people. I
think-
understand.
I think-
It does.
Destin, I think
When
they're
did I
looking
ever
for
say
a
it
little
doesn't?
bit of empathy
Yeah.
from you. I don't
Well,
think
that's
they're-
not gonna happen.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you just
We
proved,
did it.
You just
We
proved
got
our
it.
point then.
Yeah, you
that's why
are-
you got the
That's why I'm saying-
elitist.
that's why
They're
I'm
not
saying you
trying
don't
to
have to
take
defend
away
yourself.
your
Yeah.
accomplishment. They're not trying to say you completing the raid was shit. You didn't deserve it. Whatever. And
That's
if they,
exactly what they
well,
said.
listen, and if they are like, there's always trolls out there on the
Yeah.
internet. We
Yeah.
know this. I think the point was, and the point I was trying to make to you when we were talking.
Yeah.
Was I think it's awesome that some teams were able to be worlds first and that you were part of this like really small group of people who were able to dedicate a crazy amount of time to completing this really difficult raid in record time. I think that that's so cool. I'm not probably going to complete the raid for probably a couple of months because I don't want to go in underpowered and struggle bust the whole way.
Yeah.
I'm going to wait. And I'm okay with that. I think the problem people had was that it seemed like you were okay with the fact that people just weren't ever going to be able to compete week 1 because of items beyond their control. And you were like, tough luck.
But
Too
here's the
bad
thing.
for you.
Is it really
That was
beyond their
attitude.
control?
That was the
'Cause,
attitude.
I mean, it might be
we
the
don't
attitude.
need to rehash everything we talked about in the first argument. But yes,
Yeah.
there were a lot of things beyond people's control in that
because-
first week. You know there were, and it's really not a
Some
Like the
things.
glitch.
I think it's really blown
That's
out of
one thing,
proportion.
Like that one.
It's really
I
blown out.
sincerely
Here's
point
what
out.
I'll
I'm
say
like,
though.
yeah,
Here's what I'll say.
That needs to be.
We're debating stuff in the game, like RNG and this and that. Then we're debating stuff outside of the game,
Mm-hmm.
time commitments, what you had to do, were you in the country, all that stuff. And somehow they're being all muddled together in one thing.
That's
and
true.
and then people are going like, well, I'm right. and then that's basically they're picking sides, right? And so I think that's kind of what you're seeing right now.
Yeah, but one side is
I-
clearly right.
If I
The elitist.
could try to sum in
sure.
again that I keep saying it's very black and white. I don't understand that part of it. The whole game is designed around a balance and a choice, and there's math at Bungie that should try to predict this. They do obviously choose to do that. Whether or not it was accurate, and that's the point. They chose when the raid comes out based on what they put in the game. It's as simple as that. That's it. Have they balanced it right around the potential player base? And whether it's right or wrong, I don't know which side, right? But that's my whole point is, did they think enough about including the people who really want to play this game? And when I look at the numbers, and that's, I want to rehash it, I feel those numbers are way too low.
far.
They're way too low.
So
But that's just me.
Here's
And
what I
you
will
pay
say.
a price for that.
Destiny 2 Year 1, I think, we often talk about this in the office without maybe seeing it on camera. The pendulum swing. Destiny 2 Year 1, make it super approachable. Destiny 2 Year 2, boom, hard. Bungie always tries to find that middle ground. I think we all feel like they've found a good spot, but you're saying maybe it could be tweaked a little bit more.
Well, there are a lot of
It
comments.
could
I
be
mean,
tweaked.
And
And
those
that
of us who
should
read the comments saw that there were a lot of people who just felt the pendulum swung too far in one
Yes,
direction. Like, they're not asking for everything to be accessible and easy and to be able
Yeah.
to progress without any challenge, but they're also not asking for like an extraordinarily difficult grind.
But
and they
it
think
is-
like it's gone too far in that direction.
It is hard though, because I will say now,
I don't.
my little 30 seconds. I see both sides. Imagine that. That's typically the role I play on the show.
Bungie
Dad.
apologist
There
shill.
you go. There you go. I really believe that Year 1, they did a lot of things to bring in new players into the game. And so then I think what we kind of label as casual, those people didn't stay in the game or come in and out of it as they see fit at DLCs, right? So the overcorrection was to keep the hardcore in the game, as well as maybe make the casuals, which we talked about this, Sean, turn the casuals into the hardcore. And I think that this is the right step for the game right now, where it's going. But a lot of these things are stuff that we asked for. Hey, we want the raid to be an extension of story.
Yeah.
Cool. They did that.
Yeah.
This is a byproduct of that. And I think the same thing happens when you look at PvP Year 1 and PvP Year 2. Hey, we don't like one-hit shoulder charges. We don't like sticky grenades. We don't like this. We don't like that. We don't like this. Cool. Here you go. It's all nerfed. Ooh, we don't like that either.
Yeah.
Yeah, nobody said it's easy to do.
It's not
why it's
easy
called
to
the
do.
balance.
game
You
designer,
But-
right?
but-
They're like, okay, we're going to
not
implement
easy.
all
But
that stuff.
CJ,
Oh, it didn't
it
go
is.
so great.
Yeah,
CJ
but-
hits on a really interesting point, which is that there is this philosophical discussion about who games should be or what audience should games be balanced around. Like, if you cater too much to the casuals, you risk losing that audience when the game loses their interest. But if you cater to the hardcore, which I believe you should do, you make them fans for life, and they're the people who evangelize the game and put thousands and thousands of hours
But you
into
can't
it.
have a player base of millions if you only cater to the hardcore community, the hardest of hardcore.
But
I consider
that's
myself a
not
hardcore
true.
Destiny player.
That's not true.
You know, but I wouldn't be hardcore by Destin standards.
No, but that's not true. I mean, maybe
No,
in
you're
terms of
530. You're good.
maybe
Well, I am now, but I wasn't when you asked me last week.
Maybe we're in Japan.
Yeah,
Like,
but I want to finish that point. Maybe in terms of Destiny, that's not possible, but there are games out there that do exactly that, right? Counter-Strike and all of the long-term esports games are balanced around the top-tier players, and people go and watch those games or play those games because they like to aspire to be that or like watching players do the things that they can't do. So if you want to build a franchise that lasts a really long time and has legs and won't just hope that people come back year after year to new and different content, you have to balance it around the people who are going to stick around and evangelize it and their skill level.
We're going to move on, but 20-second rebuttal, Fran or Andrea.
Well, I just want to, actually, I don't even have any rebuttal. I just want to be clear. My issue was only with the raid launch timing. I love now that I'm grinding. I don't actually care how long it takes me to get to 600.
Right.
I love how hard that is, how rare. Even the exotics drops, I'm okay with it for now, as crazy as that is. So this was only about the raid launch day. I don't want people to walk away and think that I have a problem grinding into a 580 activity that's launched right now.
Yeah.
And that's fine. I'm okay with it. It was about the raid launch timing. That was it.
Cool. All right. Well, so the last wrap up on some of those comments is from last week. We had C. Falcon saying in support of Fran, Destin needs to chill. He got lucky with his
probably
drops.
just a general note I should listen to.
Probably just a general life note for
That's a
Destiny.
life, that's a life note for Destin. That's fair. I was going to tailor it to Destiny, but that's great.
Yeah.
You got me there. There's no management. You don't decide what chess piece you desperately need if you can't get the RNG drop. That's fair. Like there's a comment to
Whoa,
that.
whoa, whoa!
where-
Saying it's fair and saying it's arguable, I would argue a little bit against it.
Mr.
okay.
Agnostic, why don't you just read the comment?
All right, exactly.
No, just
You're supposed to be the moderator.
Alan,
CJ.
okay, yeah, you guys are interrupting. And then Alan, in support of Fran, also says, I get what they are coming from, but I agree with Fran. He played a good amount of time, but couldn't get in week 1. A big part of not being able to get drops and not getting the right things away filters how you get in. And that's true. And that was basically what your what your issue was.
power per hour, baby.
In support of Destin, power per hour. Fran's going to trademark that.
Yep.
In support of Destin and Sean, all right, had to stop the video here and say, the more you play, the more you get. The less you play, the less you get. This has never been a casual game. That's what people are saying about Destiny. And it's true, right? I mean, that's fair. Sir Creeps a Lot was saying, people who put in a long amount of time to be raid ready are the only ones who should be able to enter and complete it. No dumbing it down for casuals. So the last point would be the raid is not just the day. It's leading up to and everything that you're doing, in that week. So
I like that you brought up the fixes because there are tweak the percentage on the slot that you need by 0.01.
Yeah.
Like that, I would be like, okay, yes.
Or a better number.
Well, I don't know what their percentages are at,
For
right?
sure.
Because they obviously have a formula for this stuff.
Yep.
So tweak it a little bit.
Yeah. Drop protection.
Because you can
of
get
some sort.
15. They know the Edge Transit thing's messed up right now,
Right.
right? So a lot of
God.
people are getting eaten up by Edge Transit.
Got one of those?
I just got my third one this morning.
So they know
Before you
that's a
came.
bug.
Yeah.
They fixed the offering bug,
Yeah.
but that kind of stuff needs to be QA'd pre-launch.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to hear that I got that so I couldn't compete.
Yeah.
And that one is on Bungie.
Yeah.
And
But
there
they've
was
been-
the other bug with the power engrams. They did address that within that week.
They were able to address them, but that wasn't. Those
the
were
bug.
low.
And I'm sure they didn't want any of that stuff. to happen,
Of course not.
And they've also
but
been doing a
it
really good
sucks
job.
It sucks that impacts the raid competition conversation.
Right. But again, that's literally, for the most part, only a week 1 entry problem.
Correct.
They've been doing really good at identifying problems and actually isolating them and implementing fixes very quickly.
The patch
They've been
notes
really
about
good.
masterwork cores
Yeah.
and the way they communicate it is actually really excellent. They
Sure.
present the problem, which I disagreed with, in a
was
really,
the
really
update today,
interesting
or-
way.
yeah, on Thursday.
So goals for adding masterwork cores to infusion costs. Make infusing and masterworking a meaningful choice. Excellent. I agree with that. I love that. Infusion and masterwork should not be mutually exclusive. Problems with the current economy with masterworks. Masterwork cores have a misleading name. When they were created, the definition of a pinnacle item put the emphasis almost entirely on masterworking. We expanded that definition in Forsaken, but didn't update the currency. So they're going to update the currency. They're going to add new ways because they said we're monitoring core supplies and the numbers aren't as high as we'd like. So I just like how they preface the problem.
Yep.
They say how they're going to address it and what they've been hearing from the community. This kind of feedback, please continue.
Really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you've been doing really good. So this does tie into the last one, Andrea. We probably got another 10 minutes, and then we know you got to get going. But
She's got to go.
yeah, the last topic is basically RNG in the game currently. How do we feel that is? Now, we kind of talked a little bit about the Prime Engram thing, and Prime Engrams are new. The way you actually, acquire them on the map, the way they show up, not in the milestone tree anymore.
Power,
the way-
you mean? You said Prime Engram.
Sorry,
Prime.
so Prime Power, those are things that boost you up. So the engrams that you can get where you, increase your light level.
Oh, both.
Yeah, both. But then RNG in and of itself, how do you feel that it's, in the game right now currently? What's your stats, Andrea? What about you?
I mean, it's not good right now. And when I said I got my third Edge Transit, I meant my third today.
Yeah.
No, I didn't mean my third in general.
I don't
I've probably
believe
gotten
she's
like
kidding.
25 Edge Transit. The fact that it's a meme makes it
Right.
I made it an emote.
ridiculous.
The second day I made it an emote on my Twitch channel.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So,
Because it's ridiculous.
so clearly something's wrong. Bungie's aware. People have been complaining about the RNG drops. I think that RNG has always been a problem, both in Destiny now and Destiny 2, and every expansion. I want the RNG to be better, and it's just not. I just wish there were more ways that you could earn. I'm not looking for a free handout, but that you could earn specific gear pieces that you're going for, whether it be a specific strike that drops, drops helms, or if there's a specific type of weapon that you want that you can go do this one adventure on heroic or whatever. The idea I really loved what they introduced with the concept of the whisper mission in that, hey, if you want this really cool badass gun, you have to do this one really crazy difficult mission in these specific circumstances. I think stuff like that is really neat, and I wish they would maybe do more stuff like that, because right now it feels like I'm just crossing my fingers and hoping that I get some of these weapons or some of these armor pieces that I need to really be competitive.
So I hear you're kind of talking about two things, a little bit of probably increasing power, but then also exotics. Like you would like maybe an activity that had a bigger chance for an exotic drop that you knew of that you could do.
Well, yeah, I mean, we obviously talked about the exotic drops a little bit earlier. I mean, the idea that I've gotten one exotic drop in all of the hours that I've put into Forsaken since launch is kind of wild.
Yeah.
And
I think I got one.
I feel like at least when I was going to the Cryptarch all the time, because they've changed the way the engrams are now, that my chance for a drop was better. And doing the Vanguard weeklies also, I felt like my chances for an exotic drop were better. And I just don't see exotics ever anymore.
Okay.
And so it's really frustrating.
So a little bit frustrated with the current
Oh,
RNG thing right now.
So good.
Okay, so a little bit frustrated. Sean, what's your feeling of like RNG and how it's working right now in Forsaken?
Honestly, it's hard for me to say. I don't think I've played enough to really make an accurate statement about just the general state of RNG. I do feel the frustration in getting things like too many edge transits, but that's like a bug with our particular drop.
Yeah, and they
not
admitted
an
to it.
overall,
Yeah,
not an overall problem with how many drops or at what light level or stuff like that.
Well, then specifically talk about powering up, because right now there's only some people who probably have grown really
yeah, I
hard,
mean,
like,
it's very circumstantial and specific to me, because I would say that I probably play Destiny more than the average player, but I definitely don't play or plan as hardcore as a Destin or even you guys.
Yeah.
Like most of the time I'm the person, I act differently on camera, but most of the time when we talk off camera, I'm the one who has the most questions about the game, because you guys are
All an act.
you guys are more experienced and knowledgeable.
said it.
I go to people like Destin and
Clip it.
Brian Malkowitz and Stev and ask them questions because I don't know the answer. Also, I'm too lazy to go find it.
Wow.
The
So-
melange of
So
honesty and
all a ruse right here.
This is-
This is what hardcore looks
I
like,
love
ladies
that.
and
The
gentlemen.
easiest elite
I
you'll
love
ever meet.
yeah,
The
so,
elitist.
got me
yeah,
feeling like this right now.
Yeah, no, it's a little bit, this is the truth, right? So it's hard for me to make an accurate statement on that kind of stuff, but I do feel like I personally haven't had trouble leveling up when I put the time and effort in. Like,
Gotcha.
I'll make a note of, okay, this is something that I need to go get. Here's what I'm looking for in terms of my weakest light level item. I'm hoping to replace that, and sometimes I'll do a couple of activities and just get another gloves drop or another chest drop when I needed a boot increase. But the more time I put into it, eventually I'll get that, and I just got to make sure I'm not impulsive and dismantle it before I looked at the light level and stuff, which I do a lot.
So in general, you're saying just for the most part, not sure, still verdict's out for you.
Doesn't
Yeah.
affect him as much as what it sounds like.
Yeah, like,
because
I-
you're behind the harder core players and you're okay with it.
Yeah, and more than that though, it's also that it might be specific to me, but I feel like when I have gotten upgrades, they've been substantial and they haven't taken an absurd amount of time.
Okay.
But I might just be lucky. Like I know that people put a lot of
RNG.
time in for those engrams and then get sometimes lower drops, and that's happened once or twice to me.
Yeah.
And that's a bummer, but it hasn't happened enough to where I'm like, RNG is broken,
Yeah, turn off the game.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, Fran, what's your take?
Yeah, I know. I think I'm going to sound like the broken record here, but it was really only about those 10 days, the power engrams over the 2 weeks leading up to the Friday, that the RNG was not right. Statistically, again, show all those numbers. It's absolutely way too low. That's it on that. Now you might be surprised. Loving it. I'm like 565. I want to finish the raid, but I've already accepted how hard it's going to be to find those blind teams. And I'm over it. Like I said, really enjoying actually the suffocation in some ways of like how hard it is to get these drops. Yeah. And because when you get them, it feels awesome. And like there's levels that I'm still going into is so challenging. So I care less about getting 600. I might be saying something different when I run out of Masterwork cores and I can't get to 600 later.
Yeah.
But at the 565 level, I'm like, I'm gravy
You're
right
feeling
now
good.
because I can. That was the main point. I am not limited really from doing any activities, and that's what I paid for. I feel pretty good about that right now.
Cool. Nice. So for you, RNG is pretty good.
Well, it is now. Not if you just start the game. If those 10 days suck
Gotcha.
for those people the way that it did for me, and they just want to go raid with people, and I'm seeing some of that with the amount of time Andrea has, I think that is broken. Getting up to my level has taken I don't know if it's 120 hours. I should calculate it, but that's the number to focus on, power per hour again.
Right.
Per week and what's available. It's
Trademark.
all a spreadsheet,
Power
man.
per
Power
hour.
per hour. Fran Mirabella.
FM3.
It's fine. Destin, what's your take?
I think Bungie thought that people would be in the 550s for this raid.
Yeah, I think
maybe
so.
540s to 550s. I think that's where they wanted people to be. And the fact that somebody like Teddy, who only ran one character and got to 535, I think that there were enough bugs and things that need to be addressed to get them to where they expected players to be.
Yeah.
I think with a really, really hefty grind, they thought people would be in the 550s, and people did not get there.
Didn't
Like
you just
Fran,
say that last week? That's all I'm saying. It's literally, I want to hug you. That's all I was saying, everybody. Now we're on the same page, everybody.
and to get there, it seems like with the powerful Engum drop bug, with the offering bug and such like that. I think if those were fixed and just economy stuff like with the exotics, I think if those were adjusted, people would have gotten there.
Good job, C. This is what they call
you
breakthrough in
go. There we go.
psychology. Good job, C.
Got 'em.
But I'm not going to say it's broken. I don't think.
yeah.
Oh wait, Fran got malfeasance after 3 Gambit runs. It's broken. Bungie needs to fix the game.
He's so jealous of me.
People
I think
stated that.
The RNG problem could probably be fixed if they brought back meaningful purchases from vendors. Because right now, if you look at all of the items you can buy from the
Shax
vendors,
doesn't even rotate. It's just a dumb helmet everywhere.
Right.
if you look at all the items you can buy from vendors in the world, they're all crap. Why would you want to buy any of them?
Yeah.
So it's like it's interesting thinking about you talking about this pendulum swing and how they're catering to the hardcore. But like, if I go up to any of the vendors in the tower, I don't want any of their garbage, right? Like, it's all super low. Why is there not an
Oh, the
offering?
light levels.
Oh, for
I see.
Well, they're all green
Some of the rolls
pieces,
are
right?
not bad.
Yeah.
It's the
Well,
light level you're saying.
No, I'm not talking about the engrams that you get from giving them tokens. I'm talking about what you can just buy outright.
Oh,
Right?
Like those should be maybe a lower level with good rolls on them.
Better Devils is pretty good at
Or
checks.
offer
Better Devils is good,
a diverse offering. Have a couple
Yeah.
green pieces for people who are just booting up Destiny 2 for the first time. Obviously, you have to make sure to cater to those people too. But then offer like maybe one rotating piece per vendor
point.
that is, super high light level, or that drops at your light level that costs
fix some of
a lot. Whether it's like
Yeah.
like 100 legendary shards, or maybe it costs like 10 or 20 masterwork cores.
I do-
Or what,
You bring up an excellent
but
point,
what
Andrea.
I'm saying is like you can't make it too cheap, right? But like
Yeah.
make it available so that if I want to grind to get that specific piece, there's a way for me to do it.
Yeah,
I actually like that idea because it points at a different issue, which I think is
loot
more
pool.
of the loot pool. Exactly.
And I didn't bring it up in my review, and it's the only thing I didn't talk about that I wish I would.
Yeah, the loot pool absolutely feels light. Like there doesn't feel like a lot of weapons, and less than that, there are less like really desirable weapons amongst them. Remember Destiny Year 1? What was the best PvE scout rifle in the game? Hung Jury.
Hung Jury.
You could just go buy that, and it was like the most desirable raiding weapon there
Thanks,
was.
Dead.
Like
Yeah.
I wish we had a little bit more like that.
So, but this is the thing.
It's coming, I bet.
We had that conversation about that. I mean, random rolls is the artificial loot pool widening, right?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
we wanted that back. And I mean, I've said this on the show for years that I love random rolls. There's been some conversation of, did we like it? Did we not? They took it away. Now we want it back. So that's the artificial widening of the loot pool. And I like it. For the most part, I feel now like the vault's kind of small because my vault is full.
Well, I mean, I
trying
do
to test
too,
out
but
random
even
rolls,
with that,
but-
it feels light.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. But this was the conversation you and I had in the bonus clip. Weapons always rise to the top. So you could have potentially like 200 weapons, and there still would only be like maybe 10
usable
really
ones, yeah.
good ones.
I do feel the loot pool of new stuff is shallow, but there's a lot of weapons in the game.
But it's really good weapons.
But
Like the
I agree
exotics
with what you
and
guys are
stuff
saying.
really cool. that are
overall,
in
by
there.
the way. But I think if you look at the random rolls you're now getting, like everyone, I'm always playing with this Elegy sniper that's just from year 1.
Yeah.
Everyone's always asking, what is that? Because it's got snapshot and it got an awesome roll, and you never recognized it before. So I do
Achin?
feel like, well, the Achin, the
Achin's
blue
good.
roll, that's fine, but it's just a legendary Elegy sniper. But anyway, the point is there's old guns that I think we overlooked that now have some good new rolls. You can add those into the pool. And the problem is if you've seen them in the past, you kind of are like, it's old. But I would argue it's bigger than it seems. But yes, I'm tired of
probably
seeing
right.
Wing Commander drops, which is the helmet, for the hunter and stuff like that. There's a lot of armor drops that you're like, I can't look at these anymore.
Yeah.
Right now.
I just want to say one thing really quick, and
sure.
then do your
up
outro.
in a sec.
I just want to thank everybody because the conversations I appreciate the most are where you can disagree passionately and still be friends at the end of it.
Whatever,
So,
don't
Andrea, I appreciate you arguing with me on Twitter and coming here to support your points. And Fran, you're wrong.
There it is.
No,
I agree, by the way.
seriously, I argue with CJ, I argue with Ransky, I argue with Fran all the time, and I end up learning stuff sometimes about when I'm wrong.
Different
and
perspective.
hopefully we can remain friends after this conversation.
Speaking of,
We didn't even talk about breakthrough.
I was gonna
It's
say,
good.
oh,
Well, yeah, there's a new Crucible
So here,
mode.
Colin Smith, man, do you guys get along outside the office?
Yeah.
That was
Actually, we
comment?
do.
We do.
We do.
Yeah.
We do. And so, I mean, there is a certain amount of. I had the speed round. Andrea, how much time do you have? Do you have a few minutes
Yes,
for
I
a
do.
speed round?
I
Okay.
do.
What's your quick take on Breakthrough?
Right now, the biggest problem that I've seen in my time with Breakthrough is people dipping mid-match. So
Yes.
That's just a problem.
Kind
Which
of
is-
a Destiny issue. in
No, but
general.
it hasn't been a problem with Crucible for me so far. Obviously, they had to make that fix with Gambit with people abandoning matches, and now there's penalties. I don't know why, or if they exist. I haven't seen them yet in Breakthrough. But if you're gonna play, bring a shotgun. You cannot compete in Breakthrough
PvP.
without a shotgun. No, I compete just fine in Iron Banner and other Crucible without a shotgun. But because of the way the map design is, with how you have to
Attack
take and
the
hold,
areas.
it's all close quarters combat,
it is.
or it's all sniping. So
Yep.
it's one or the other.
Yep.
And so it's been a little bit.
Destiny 1.
It's been a learning experience playing in this mode. I would obviously recommend going in with a full fire team if you can, because communication is crucial about how you're going to, go about your strategy. If like, hey, are we going to go for,
the
the
capture point in the center.
first, or are we going to wait and let them get it and then we're going to defend, or
Yeah.
things like that. But
Yeah. Cool.
Sounds fun.
So far, fun. Fast paced. It definitely deserves to be in the competitive playlist versus the quick playlist.
Right.
That makes
Yeah, 'cause-
sense. They
'cause
made
it's
the right
4.
call there.
Yeah.
But I need to play some more. But yeah, don't go in without.
So
a
you
shotgun.
like it? You just want him to tune it a little bit.
Yeah.
I think-
and no exiting the match.
I think there has to be some pretty stiff penalties, because as
Just
you guys
across
know
the
from
board,
previous
right?
4v4
Yeah.
matches, like if you even lose one person,
It's
you're at a
tough.
severe disadvantage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You lose somebody in Gambit, you're like, well, we're going to lose.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be too
100%.
busy getting malfeasance. I don't think I'll be.
Oh, there it is.
God.
You're waiting for it. All right, so we got 5 questions real quick. These are yes or no or 2-second answers. No looking.
Yes or
Dustin.
no, got
This
it.
is the speed round. All right, so everybody.
Which side are we starting on?
Doing a quick speed round. We'll go like this.
Okay,
We'll just
that
because it doesn't matter. All right, Datto beat the raid in 2402. Does Datto deserve the day 1 emblem? Andrea,
Yes.
Fran.
No, rules are rule. Rules are rules. I think he'll agree.
There you go.
I'm on Fran's side. I think like 2402 is not 24 or less.
Okay.
No, Bunch, you should put a lore item in the game about it, though.
Boom. There you go. That's exactly
clever.
what I
That's
said.
clever.
That is it. No, I think also he deserves an emblem that says missed it by that much.
Yes, I love data.
What's real quick? You were the odd one out. Why does he deserve it?
He's been a long time committed Destiny content creator. He's arguably one of the best. He's certainly my personal favorite.
Yeah.
And like the idea that he and his team put all that work in to miss it by a hair is just heartbreaking.
It is.
It is
heartbreaking.
heartbreaking.
Yeah. But so right there, you heard it. Still no, but Andrea, favorite Datto. There you go. Favoritism. Question also here. When looking for LFG, what's going to be the number 1 request for raid team after week 1? Andrea.
Wait, don't
Sorry.
ask me first.
No?
I have
Okay,
to think
Fran.
about
This
it.
is a tough. This
It
is not a
is.
quick
This
yes
is not
or
a
no.
rapid
That's a yes
fire
or no.
question.
What are
What-
must
what-
have Whisper of the Worm?
Okay.
Honestly, a mic. That's more important than anything.
Oh, there you go.
Gallahorn Masterwork.
Looked at my paper.
I said that to you before
You
the
did.
show, though.
He did. All right, Andrea.
Not original.
What do you think people are looking for
In LFG.
in LFG?
Like a weapon or
People that know how to headshot?
There you go.
There you go. Chris.
People with good aim.
There you go.
Precision.
Gallahorn was the right answer. We've also accepted Sleeper. That's another good one. All right.
yeah.
Real quick, name 1 weapon from Destiny 1 that you'd like to see return for Destiny 2. Sean.
Praetorian foil.
Oh, there you go. The old fusion. Dustin.
Gallahorn.
Friends.
Plan C.
Oh, there it is.
that's
I
what
like
CJ's
that. I
doing.
like that.
Vision of Confluence.
Oh, there you go. Something good. Hawkmoon. I was
Oh,
Hawkmoon
yeah.
year 1. I played the game so long and never got it on
still hear it.
PlayStation. Ugh.
We couldn't get it on Xbox.
Oh, there it is,
Oh, you
Sean.
can now?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Got it after.
All right, last 2. Is the raid more fun the second week? Sean.
Hard to say because I wasn't in it the first week.
Oh,
but
there
it's
you
very
go.
fun.
Destin.
I'm loving it week 2.
All right. Fran?
Is it more fun? Was that the question?
Yes.
I don't know. It's just fun.
Okay.
I don't know about more.
I have not played the raid yet.
Oh, there you go.
So yes.
Correct answer is absolutely 1 hour to complete a raid versus 24 hour is much more fun. All right. Deej.
31.
Exactly. Deej also had a tweet out there. Are you having fun with the new Destiny content today? At which point, in brackets, he put, if your answer is no because I'm at work, the game will be waiting for you when you get home.
I missed that tweet. I was at work.
I'm
when
at
he sent
work
it
too,
out, actually.
so we have that in common. Question, can you play Destiny and be a good person in life or a good parent? Fran.
Can you play Destiny and be a good person?
Yes.
Okay, Andrea?
Yes, of course.
Unison.
Yeah, Sean?
I don't know. I think all Destiny people are trash. So
I'll keep working on it.
Well, we know
Ah,
at least
there
a
you
few
go.
that are.
And my response, it's actually a trick question. Yes, you're able to play Destiny, but no, you cannot be a good parent or a good person. So there you go.
That's
nice.
direct experience.
I know that. Talking on
We
experience
got to get Andrea out of here. And
Yeah.
I know Fran has big responsibilities here. So, Andrea, you know when we wrap up the show, we point at the camera, right?
Yeah.
We say Guardians out. All right. So we're gonna do it this episode. So that's everything that we have. Thank you everybody for joining. And until next time,
Guardians out.
The laughing in the back.
How many people-
Well, because like Destin's prepping everybody.
No, he needs to know. It sneaks up on you that the guest would get left out, or who
Yeah,
knows.
I did it very slow and
It's
methodical.
become a
Just
meme on the
for
show. Is
Fran.
that he sometimes will look at me and I'll like we trip up on it, and it becomes like a meme for the show.
do you want to pick up the outro again and make it less awkward, but then also give Andrea the opportunity to tell her where to
plug.
find?
I was
Yeah,
actually-
I was just
Oh.
about to say that. Like,
Andrea, just do our outro for us.
yeah.
Where can people find you?
Sure. Well, you can find me at what'sgoodgames.com. We have our weekly podcast there. You can find it on podcast services. I also co-host at Kind of Funny Games Daily a couple of times a week with those kids over there, which is really fun. So that's youtube.com/kindoffunnygames.
Cool.
Nice. Thanks for stopping by.
Awesome having you.
Thanks for having me,
Yeah,
guys.
it was fun.
Of course.
Yeah.
It's good.
All right. We're gonna
Until next time,
Who won? Who won?
leave it in the comments below.
Leave it in the comments below.
Team Frandria.
Team Frandria or the elites?
Yeah.
or
How did
legs
we not
spinning
get a cool nickname?
Yeah.
Legs
you guys
spinning?
get-
Or Andrea Frene.
All right, we'll do the outro then. So thank you everybody for joining us, and that's all we have time for this episode. But until next time,
Guardians out.
Be sure to subscribe to our channel for more Destiny coverage. I'll even have Zerg give you exactly what you wanted if you do. Apparently, I can't do that. You should still subscribe.